Look here. She's adorable, isn't she? She's just so precious, you want to protect her from things that'll hurt her and make her sad, right? Yeah, I thought so. So, all you need to do is keep her and everyone else away from... Wait. What are you doing? No! Stop! No! So, CyberConnect 2 is a pretty cool developer. They've done a lot of notable work over the years. The Dot Hack series, Asura's Wrath, the Naruto Ultimate Ninja series, even the JoJo All-Star Battle games. More recently, they made the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and Demon Slayer the Hinokami Chronicles games. So, basically they're pretty well known for their big shonen anime battle games. But there's another game series that they've made, one that they're clearly passionate about. How do I figure they're passionate about it? Well, have you heard about the Little Tail Bronx series? Actually, if you're watching this, then at this point you may have. Anyway, before I was recommended Fuga Melodies of Steel, I had never heard of these games. Tail Concerto was among one of the first games CC2 ever developed, and Soul to Robo is apparently a beloved DS game by those who have played it. But without a doubt, these games were commercial flops. There's also the Little Tail Story mobile game, but I know even less about that. It apparently only ran for about half a year, so clearly that didn't find much success either. Despite this, CyberConnect 2 keeps the series going. Even without an extensive budget, they continue to develop and self-publish these games. If that doesn't show passion above profit, I don't know what does. Now, onto the actual main point of this video. Fuga Melodies of Steel is another entry in the Little Tail Bronx series. Although its tone and atmosphere clearly differ from its predecessors. You follow a group of 12 Kaninu and Felineko kids who hop into this beastly tank called the Taranis after their peaceful country is invaded by the Burman Empire. That's Burman, like Doberman? Not German, what gave you that idea? They don't even look like German Shepherds. Now, our main man Maltier, here is a German Shepherd, see? Also, he's a shepherd because he takes care of the moose sheep on the farm. Where was I? Right, so these kids, who have never seen any battle, let alone war, now are to fight against this invading empire. Luckily, the Taranis is clearly some sort of ancient superweapon that is simple enough for a bunch of kids to command. That doesn't mean it's invincible though. When things get rough, the Taranis can activate and load a super desperation weapon that can wipe out all opposition. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, it's not. Just as the name implies, the Soul Cannon is powered by the soul of a forsaken child, as chosen by you, the player. Luckily, for plot's sake, the first firing doesn't stick. Tutorials are meant to teach without any consequences after all. Once this mechanic is explained, however, you now have to consider whether or not you should rely on this weapon to get through the game. These sacrifices will stick, and aside from the emotional trauma you induce upon yourself and your kids, you also end up reducing your fighting force. You see, the goal is to travel across the floating country of Fantasy France, Gasco, picking up other kids in search of their captured families. It makes it a little awkward to finally find and rescue them when certain kids don't survive the journey. For better or worse, the Soul Cannon will only potentially activate during boss battles, so it's not like you're at risk of spamming it whenever you feel like. Well, all that really means is that you just have to learn how to get through battles safely. Combat is pretty interesting. The base is a turn-based RPG, but you're also expected to do a lot of party and lineup management to optimize your damage and battlefield control. Due to the various differences in abilities, active, and passive skills between the children, you are expected to frequently swap and pair them around in battle. Each kid commands a different weapon type, which can be summed up as the basic RPG class trio of Fighter, Mage, and Rogue. Red cannons are the fighters, with high damage and low accuracy. Also, their skills gravitate towards increasing and putting out big numbers to wipe out enemies. Yellow grenade launchers are your mages, with a variety of AoEs and status elements to inflict. Finally, blue machine guns are your speedy anti-air, anti-armor rogues. Every weapon has a role to play, and each child has their own set of skills and passive abilities to encourage frequent rotation. Beyond that, combat features a delay system, where hitting an enemy with a weapon type they're weak to will delay them and alter the turn order. Managing delays is the core of the combat system, allowing you to predict and control when an enemy will attack to properly defend against it. You're going to need to, since enemy damage is pretty high, and they have a variety of status elements which can severely hamper your ability to fight. In addition to the delay system, enemy units have armor, which reduce incoming damage, but can be shredded by machine gun special attacks or the armor-piercing ammo consumable item. Or you can just power through them with even bigger numbers if you feel so inclined. The status elements you can inflict with grenade launcher special attacks or special consumable ammo includes Burn, which deals periodic percentile damage, Smoke, which cuts enemy accuracy, Weakness, which cuts enemy damage, Stun, which halts timeline movement, and Bad Luck, which makes enemies more vulnerable to ailments. On the opposite end, enemies can inflict unique status elements on your kids. Fear cuts a child's accuracy, Depression seals a child's skills, Injury marks a child as vulnerable to Knockout, and Knockout removes a child from the battle roster entirely until healed. Beyond those basics are Link Attacks and Hero Mode. Link Attacks are unlocked when you build friendships between the kids. I'll come back to this in a second. Hero Mode builds up for each individual child through combat, and is an automatic super mode that gives additional passive boosts. For example, Hannah, our resident big sis and healer, gets double strength heals in Hero Mode. Friendly science nerd Socks gains the ability to inflict random status elements with his regular attacks at no SP cost. Little May gets a tap into her latent bloodlust to go real fast and cut ahead of the turn order to unleash her machine gun barrage upon the hapless foes who stand in her way. But really, despite her low attack and crit rate, I may just so much damage to enemies, it's actually kind of worrying. Anyway. Outside of combat, you'll spend most of your time on the adventure map, which shows the Tyrannus strolling down the road, picking up heals and items, and crushing crates underneath its massive treads. Looking at the map, you can see potential route splits for you to choose from. Taking safer routes means fewer and easier battles, but lower quality items and experience, while dangerous routes have tougher enemies, but proportionally larger rewards. Choose whichever path you like, but know that taking the easy road all the time is just set up for struggle further down the line. On the map, you can also see intermission points. During intermissions, you view the cross-section of the Tyrannus, exploring it with a child of your choice. While exploring, you can make use of the onboard farm. I don't know how a farm grows in the depths of a megatank, but it does. To get ingredients. You can use these ingredients to cook food for passive bonuses until the next intermission. You can use a fishing rod out back to collect scraps for upgrade materials. You can upgrade various facilities and weapons on the Tyrannus with said materials. Most importantly, you can use this time to have your kids interact with each other, boosting their synergy in combat. As a bonus, at the relationship level thresholds 2, 5, and the maximum 10, you get link events, cute dialogue sequences between the characters which flesh out their personalities and relationships. Higher links mean stronger link attacks, and more effective support passives. For example, Hannah, set as support, grants her leading partner heals when using normal attacks. If she's very good friends with that partner, then that heal gets bigger. If a child is afflicted with depression from a previous battle, you can talk them out of their funk. If only it really were that easy. And if they've been injured or knocked out, you can rest them in the dorm to heal them up. The caveat to intermissions, however, is that you have limited time, or rather, limited actions. Fishing, farming, cooking, upgrading, and talking all take a varying number of action points, meaning you need to manage your time well. Using the dorms to heal takes a hefty chunk of AP, and talking someone out of depression may take more than one chat. Maybe you want that food stat boost for the upcoming battles. Or maybe you need the ingredients in the first place to cook next time. Stronger friendships are nice, but what if we really need an upgrade to cannon? That's up to you to figure out and balance your time. Rarely, you will also encounter ruin exploration nodes on the adventure map, which allow you to do a bit of dungeon crawling and puzzle solving. Armed with a surprisingly lethal toy gun, your choice of children can venture into a ruin to fight off monsters and collect rare upgrade materials. You only have a limited amount of shots, and you need to find ammo through the ruin in order to take out enemies and blockades to collect every last scrap. Once you have ventured out into a ruin, you can revisit them during intermissions to replay them for materials, but honestly, it mostly ends up being a colossal waste of action points. Just make sure you know how to solve the dungeon and collect all the items if you decide to spend AP on it. Between each chapter, before you get to the adventure map, you'll have the option to enter a village to talk with the residents. Some will give you materials or ingredients, others will give you consumable items. One will be a kid who will give you a chapter of the in-game comic, The Adventures of Sucre. It's a cute little story and a neat little collectible. Finally, there's the salesman. But you don't use money in this desperate time of war. Instead, you barter. Trade 3 of one material to get a material of the next tier. Trade 1 material to get 3 of a lower tier. In order to stay on track with your Tyrannus upgrades, you'll need to trade items and materials, especially if you're taking safe routes on your adventures. Fuga looks like a cute, fun adventure, and maybe that better applies to the previous entries of the Little Tail Bronx series, since Fuga itself has you guiding a crew of kids through the horrors and risks of war. The story and gameplay may seem simple, but they end up surprisingly engaging, so I strongly recommend people to give this game a shot. Beyond that, Fuga 2 is due to hit soon, and I know I've been looking forward to it. As an aside, I can tell they're doing what they can to improve the game and experience. What makes me think that? Well, on March 29th, they released the 1.50 patch for Fuga, which added a bunch of quality of life fixes, such as being able to see what materials you have and need while bartering in a town. They also fixed a minor gripe of mine, where the UI has the health bar as green and SP bar as blue, but the health and energy pickups on the adventure map were red and green respectively, which was honestly a bit confusing. But hey, that's been color corrected now. My only complaint is that these fixes came the day after I 100% cleared the game and unlocked the secret movie, meaning I have no need to make use of those changes anymore, aside from recording this bit of trivia. Oh, I guess before I sign off, I should elaborate on the secret movie I brought up. See, it isn't mentioned or even hinted at anywhere in the game. On the main menu, there's a column of cogs off to the right side. As you accomplish various things in your playthroughs, and you will need multiple, the cogs will light up. Once all of them are lit up, you can access the secret movie. This thing is more hidden than a Kingdom Hearts secret movie, but it's functionally the same. No one really knows the exact unlock conditions for all the cogs, and even though I've done it myself, I don't know which ones pertain to what actions either. All I can really say is do everything. Get both endings, unlock every secret report, get everyone to level 50, reach max length with several characters, but you don't need them all, I can confirm that much. Max upgrade every weapon, max upgrade every facility, eat every meal, use every skill, collect every comic page. At some point, you should hit all the requirements. There's no reward aside from the movie for doing all this, but I can say I'm pretty proud to have accomplished it. Anyway, go play. Go enjoy Fuga. Then, when Fuga 2 comes out, enjoy that too. I know I will. Thanks, and I'll see you around in the next adventure.